Hello, and welcome to another episode of 28 Days of Blackness. Today we have a very special guest, Miss Ebony Howard. And today she'll be talking about Coretta Scott King. I'm not going to hold you, Ebony. Let's begin. Can you give us a brief description of her earlier life?
Yes, absolutely. So hello, everyone. Coretta Scott King was born April 27, 1927 in Marion, Alabama. She was the third of four children, an avid reader, and musical talent at such an early age. She graduated valedictorian from her high school class and received her Bachelor of Arts from Antioch College in Ohio. She then received a scholarship to attend the New England Conservatory of Music, where she studied concert singing. She then met Martin Luther King Jr., a Boston University doctoral candidate. They wed on June 18, 1953.
Wow. And that's beautiful. So, Ebony, the story continues, correct?
Correct, it does.
All right, give us a little bit more. She met Martin Luther King, and what was her impact?
So she met Martin Luther King, and I think what most people don't know about her is that during her college years, she was already an activist. So she was already a member of the NAACP, Civil Liberties Committee, and so forth. So therefore, when she met Martin Luther King Jr. and they moved to Montgomery, Alabama, and began their civil rights leadership, she was already equipped for that.
That is a beautiful story. Most people do not know that when it comes to her. And we understand that, she had a great husband, but what did she do specifically to move the movement along?
Well, she had these freedom concerts, so she raised a lot of money. She spoke at colleges and in front of church congregations, just spreading Martin Luther King's nonviolent resistance movement. So she was very a part of his day-to-day in terms of spreading what he believed in.
Yes, it brings a new turn to I'm a movement by myself.
Yes, absolutely.
But I'm a force when we're together. And, she was his confidant, and she traveled with him as well. What else did they do as far as together?
Well, as far as together, they raised their four children together. I mean, Martin Luther King was, of course, assassinated, but up until a certain point, they both raised their four children together. So I think this speaks about the balance of family. You have a husband and wife that were not only committed to their family, but were committed to a nation.
That's very interesting, Ebony. So, little is known about the impact that women played when it came to the civil rights movement. Can you shed a little bit of light on that and as well talk about some of the accomplishments of Coretta Scott King?
Absolutely. So I want to first say the Bible talks about the virtuous woman, and the virtuous woman being a crown to her husband. Although back then women weren't seen as leaders, they had one role based on society or the way sexism was set up, and that their role was to be at home and raise the children. But I spoke about previously how Coretta, raised money with these freedom concerts, as she spoke at colleges and churches and so forth. They say, behind or beside every good man is a good woman, and that's exactly what it was, right? She allowed her husband to do what he needed to do for the nation, all the while being right beside him. And it was upon his death in Memphis on April 8th, 1968, which he was there for the sanitation workers strike, and to where she was forced to step up and lead a silent march a day after his assassination of over 50,000 people. And the very next day, the day following the sanitation march, she then led a televised speech at his funeral. So I say that to say, upon his death, she took center stage, at that point vowing to continue on with his legacy. And she did so. She fought against apartheid in South Africa. She fought for 15 years for a legislation to be passed in order for us to observe Martin Luther King's Day. She has the Nonviolent Civil Rights Center in Atlanta, Georgia, and the list of her accomplishments continues. And she actually fought this same fight until she was 78 years old, in which she passed from us.
Wow. And that speaks to her tenacity, right?
Absolutely. And perseverance and determination and resilience and her strength. She is the role of the black woman. She's the role that black women have played all along, being the thread to the family, holding it together. She raised children. She was her husband's biggest supporter. And not only that, when the time came, she took center stage. She is the black woman, and she paved the way for all of the other women like myself that would come behind her and would be forced to overcome obstacles and barriers.
Wow. And you just hit the nail on the head, so, let's go a little bit further into that. How did her legacy influence you in the stuff that you do for our community?
Well, her legacy influenced me. We spoke about, again, her determination and her resilience, her strength, right? She was brave. She fought during times when, we were being hosed down and so forth. So for me, having been a teenage mom and having to overcome various situations and circumstances, that showed me strength. So she paved the way for me to be brave, for me to be strong, for me not to be afraid to overcome obstacles, knowing that I could accomplish certain goals while raising children. So, for example, I spoke about being a teenage mom, but yet completing my undergraduate degree, being 5 months shy of completing my master's degree. I also do that while maintaining a full-time career in the field of philanthropy. I'm also the founder of a Queen movement, so I also have social ventures as well. And in that, a Queen movement is really focused on women and girls and just really investing in them and collaborating with so many organizations like Arroyo Men and Blacks in Law Enforcement serving the community. So again, what her impact has been for me is to, number one, pay it forward, to continue on the legacy.
Ebony, that is amazing. But before you go, we're going to need you to definitely leave us with a quote, a saying, something that's going to propel us forward for the very next episode. So
I'll leave you with a quote from Coretta Scott King. Be ashamed to die until you have won some victory for humanity. Let's all be sure to pay it forward and be ashamed to die until we do so. Thank you.
That's amazing. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for another episode of 28 Days of Blackness.